The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ. And we're going right into
into the emergency stuff.
Emergency announcements right off the bat. I mean, this is unbelievable. Moments ago, it was announced that Tansey School is evacuating due to a gas leak. The gas leak is outside of the building. The children are being evacuated to the Durfee site, the Durfee High School site. Now, it's unclear right now whether they're waiting there for pickup from their parents or if they're going to be going back to the school. Odds are they won't be going back to the school because the gas company's going to come and shut the gas down, obviously.
And they're going to Durfee that's flooded.
And they're going to Durfee that's flooded. So I would assume that they're probably going to pick up your children. You can probably go pick up your children, but they will be at Durfee. They have been evacuated from the Tansey School because they cannot stay in the building with a gas leak happening. So they're taking care of your children. So if you have any questions, call the school department and find out what to do about your children. Also, this morning, at about 3 a.m., Durfee High School suffered a major flood. A 6-inch sprinkler main head broke off. How convenient.
Sprinkler main.
Yeah,
not the head.
The sprinkler main.
Yeah.
Broke off, and 30 to 50,000 gallons of water flooded the building. It's on the science section side of the building, and it also affected the sophomore and freshman classes. Computers and student records have been affected, and they're not sure if they can recover those records.
Yeah, everybody gets an A now.
Everyone's going to get an A. How convenient, though, that this happens right after a vote to send this to ballot.
Yeah.
And here's the biggest problem I have. According to comments made to other media outlets, they did not know where the main was to shut off the sprinkler system.
Well, I won't even.
With all the fire drills, with all the trainings, with everything else going, nobody knew where to find the shutoff to the sprinkler valve?
Well, the maintenance guy should know. Fire department should know. I mean, the OS&Y valve's got to be shut down. You got to drain it. You know, I mean, I mean, it's not that difficult to find. All you got to do is walk the piping back, but somebody should have known. But I'm just curious of how quickly the alarm came in, because once that pipe broke, there should have been a pressure drop enough to activate the alarm. So they should have had somebody. I'm just wondering what the time delay was, and that we have to look into that, because they're going to guesstimate how much water damage and how much water flowed, because they don't know the exact time. But if that alarm came in, it should have coincided pretty well with the main, because once it broke, there's going to be a pressure drop and a water flow indicator, and they should have got an alarm.
I agree. Already people are. We just reported on it. People are sending us the information on the Tansey School. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And that was our sources over at Channel 12. And they're going to be covering this at noon. So you can get some more stories at noon.
Yeah.
We reported on Monday about the pumping stations and that they were tied to the Carrigg family. We received a rebuttal statement from the Carrigg family. And this came from Alexander Carrigg at Spindle City Straight Talk at CJ Ferris to send to us. I think you might owe the Carrigg family a public apology. The two orders that are in front of the City Council for January 9th have nothing to do with any current or future developments of Bristol Pacific Homes and or its related entities. You pride yourselves on truthfulness, but there seems to be a lot of misinformation being broadcasted by you and others about my family. Bristol Pacific, their company, the Carrigg family, relatives of the Carrigg family, and 100+ local employees have been operating in Fall River over 30 years. Bristol Pacific is located in Fall River with its main office on Martine Street in a historic mill building in which they renovated and remediated on a property that was a true brownfield site. During their 30 years of business, they have invested millions of dollars into the city of Fall River through renovations, restorations, remediations of abandoned or dilapidated buildings where no one else would take such a risk. Bristol Pacific and related entities have brought hundreds of well-paying jobs into the city of Fall River, including healthcare professionals, computer engineers, financial advisors, artists, and much, much more. In addition, they continue to pay hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in property taxes, real estate taxes, and fees to the city of Fall River when other more well-known companies receive large tax breaks. And yes, at times they have contributed to political campaigns, but that doesn't compare to what they have contributed to numerous private organizations that are doing right by the community. There is nothing wrong or illegal with contributing to a political campaign, and Bristol Pacific and or my family has never sought anything in return. You may disagree with a certain project or proposal that my family is involved in, but it doesn't give you any right to trash my family's reputation or name, which you and others have been doing for months. Furthermore, spreading false rumors and misinformation about a local family business is why Fall River gets left behind, and other cities of a similar size are doing so well.
Well, okay, now comes my response, especially this last line. Look, I don't blame the guy for trying to defend his family. You wouldn't be in business if you weren't making money. If you've invested millions, you've made millions. And I also noticed something very, very specific about that first line. We have nothing to do with any current or future developments. That doesn't say what happened in the past. You were involved at some point in time. So, we all know that you can contribute to campaign, you can contribute to campaigns. However, you get something back for it. They're not asking for anything special. I think weren't they involved in that road?
Yep, they got the easement.
You don't ask for anything, but you ask for the easement that has everybody up in arms. And secondly, the reason Fall River is left behind is not because of people spreading rumors. And you're talking about other communities of our size doing well. There are not that many communities of our size in the state of Massachusetts doing well. Because if you look at the communities of our size, they are Brockton, which isn't doing that well. They are Lowell, which isn't doing that well. They are Lynn, which are not doing that well. They are New Bedford and Fall River. So who you got left? Newton. And Newton isn't doing well because nobody speaks rumors or nobody has anything negative to say. The reason Newton does so well is its population of 86,000, about 2,000 less than Fall River, is basically comprised of high-paid yuppies that work in Boston. They have the highest household income in the state of Massachusetts. They have the lowest amount of people below the poverty level living in their city. So, look, CJ made a presentation yesterday. We talked about some stuff. It might have been, you got out of it. You sold it to someone else. That doesn't change the issue. The issue is that whoever's got it now, who got it from you, is trying to dump this on the city so the taxpayer can foot the bill. And so if you were offended, sorry. But it offends me when I see big business whining, because I'm reminded of what I saw on TV the last couple of days in Alabama. The school teacher being handcuffed and thrown to the ground. Why? And by the way, we got to segue into our new city council. Anybody who complains about the city council being too dictatorial, watch that meeting. She was out of order and they arrested her and threw her on the ground. And why was she complaining? She was complaining because the school teachers in that community haven't had a pay raise in a decade. And for you who don't know what a decade is, it's 10 years. They hadn't had a pay raise in 10 years, and the superintendent of schools got a $38,000 pay raise, which is probably more than that teacher was making for an annual salary teaching in Alabama, because that's a right-to-work state. There are no unions, basically, to do anything for them. The unions have virtually no rights. Those states are always historically extremely low paid. So again, we have a situation where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and everybody else in the middle gets left by the wayside, and all we are is contributors to these companies. So,
Well,
that's one of the things that always disturbs me. When these mega corporations whine, it's like when the pharmaceutical companies whine. This is not a mega corporation, but they've made plenty of money. And now they, you know, and to say they've never asked for anything politically, do you think that I've been living under a rock? That I don't know the way business is done in this community, in every community, on the national level, on the state level, and on the city level. Please don't insult my intelligence. I might have been born at night, but it wasn't last night.
It was the night before.
That's right.
Well, interestingly enough, while you were speaking
ranting.
here, well, no, not ranting, but speaking, several statements came in from our viewers. People watch our show live, you know. They were saying that, okay, so what? He didn't own these properties? Does that prevent him from tying into these pumping stations in the future? Is that a possibility?
Very good point.
Very good point.
Very good point.
Very good point. Now, here's the thing. Historically, and former City Councilor Brian Pearson stated this morning, Terry Sullivan has always held, and the city has always held, that they will never accept private pumping stations because it is too much of a financial burden on the city.
Except when certain people with political influence may do it, and we may do it. But we're glad that we have a good memory. We remember these statements.
Right, exactly. And this is the problem. But this city council, and I have a real problem with last night's city council meeting because he asked for a vote, a yay and a nay vote. I only heard one person say yay. He never asked for a nay vote, and he says, okay, it passed. Okay, it passed. City council president has got to give the yays and the nays. If no one says nay and only one person says yay, well, then it passed. It doesn't matter. But, you know, when you don't give the nay side the opportunity to say it.
It's an invalid vote, actually.
Yeah, those are invalid votes, and he doesn't understand that. And I sent him an email saying that this morning. You've got to have those votes done accordingly and properly.
Yeah, because it's you know, there are situations where a one vote can win a vote because when the other 8 may have abstained, and then but after you ask, you know, all in favor, all opposed. Now, if the opposed is dead silent, even though there are more on that side, they're abstentions.
That's right.
And so now, one vote wins the election.
Exactly.
Or wins the vote. It's happened to us. It happened to me in a union when we had a union hall full of people and two people voted in favor, and because they had a little bit of power, they had some rank. Everybody didn't have the courage to vote against them, so the vote prevailed to
nothing
to 80 abstentions or something like that. So, but I mean that's the way it goes. But you're right. I mean you know when you ask for a yay or nay vote, you have to ask for the nays. You have to look for both. You have to listen to both sides. And if there's confusion, which they shouldn't be in a city council, there are in some larger meetings, then you can ask for a hand vote, a standing vote, or whatever,
vote, right.
A roll call vote, and you know it goes in the order. But the fact is that it's not really a valid vote. One yay, how many nays were there? Let them have the courage to either say nay or abstain, so then we can hold them accountable.
Exactly.
Because as far as I'm concerned, if there was only one yay or two, those other people didn't get a chance to speak.
Exactly, and that's what I said, because that's all, I mean, and I checked this morning, I reviewed the video, I spoke with some other people, they only heard one person or maybe 2 people say something. I can tell you one thing though, the city council in council seat number 8, Derek Viveris, doesn't say a word, doesn't say anything. He sits there and looks like a bump on a log. Doesn't say a word until it's a roll call vote. If it's not a roll call vote, he sits there. He looks like a deer in the headlights.
He hasn't got his feet wet yet. He doesn't have his marching orders. Wait.
Yeah, exactly. He's waiting for those marching orders.
It takes a few meetings to get into the swing of things. You know?
Exactly. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. That's piss poor.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing, but I'm just saying.
Piss poor governing. But, you know, it's a problem. Now, I went and spoke on Citizens Input yesterday, obviously, and I was talking about the ballot question as well. Okay, and I said, number one, I do not think this ballot question go forward without a cap. And everyone agrees. Everyone in the city says the same thing. There's no cap. No, carte blanche is no good. Oh, we have to do it this way because the MSBA says we have to word it this way. which I think is BS.
Yeah, look, number one, CJ, the whole thing, nobody, they're going to make me, and believe me, I'm a proponent of education because both my children have advanced degrees, and they went to college and cost me a bundle. But the fact is, I'm a proponent of education. I believe knowledge is power. But the fact is that I'm not going to give this city, of all cities, I wouldn't give any governmental agency a blank check, let alone this community. There are so many deceptions in this presentation. They're not talking about the things that aren't even covered by a reimbursable state clause that they want to do, which when you vote something like this with a blank check, they're going to do everything. They're going to take care of everything, and we have to pay 100% of it. And also, they always talked about 80%, and at last night's meeting, they admitted they have never received more than 66%, between 60 and 66%. So right off the bat, they've been harping on this, the propaganda, the Goebbels stuff, that we get 80%, but we get 80% on only certain things. Look, I'm a proponent. I'm also very upset that we are where we are. But as a taxpayer and as a proponent for education, I want to be able to vote for this thing. But I'm not going to vote to give them a blank check because I want to see a comprehensive look at this issue. I want to see them look at what happened. Why is this building completely unusable after 40 years? Why did we have a report in 2011 about things that had to be repaired and not repaired everything and brought it up to where maybe we wouldn't have to get this bond right now? We could have waited a little while. I want to see those answers. I want to see who was in charge of maintenance and didn't do the maintenance. And finally, I want to see a breakdown of everything they want to do, what's covered, what's not covered, and what's the projected costs. That's what I want to see. And then if I'm satisfied we're getting the best bang for our buck and they're not wasting money on things I don't think we should address right now that aren't covered, let me vote for this. I want to vote for this. But I'm not going to vote for it under your proviso that I give you a blank check. Well, the hell with it. Let's let the city have access to our savings accounts and our checking accounts and just let them clean it out. Because remember something, people. We're talking about 30 years, which means that your grandchildren's children will be paying for this bond, let alone what they have to do when they're alive and we're taking a dirt nap. The fact is that your grandchildren's children will be paying for this because we know the city never pays a bond off. They just pay the interest most of the time. And that 30-year bond will end up a 60-year bond because they'll rebond it at some point in time. So please, please stop with the oh, Mary, well, you know, we try to keep it under $10 million per year, how much we pay, and blah, blah, blah. And look, you don't have a number. Sean Kadim was 100% right asking for numbers. And the city is 100% wrong in not providing numbers and not providing the maximum information, because I'll tell you what, I want to give the children the opportunity to get an education. But I also don't want to urinate my money into that endless hole that this city has of spending money.
That money pit.
That's right. I mean, that was a travesty last night watching that thing.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I mean, it was a travesty watching the dance of the chickens. Well, you know, well, the building's only good. What's the average lifespan? Oh, 50 to 60 years. Well, we're 10 years under the low end, 20 years under the high end. And we got a report in 2011. And the best one I liked was when they try to disparage that school. That when they built, they were doing the same thing for the school that they've got there. This is the greatest school in the world. It's all ultra state of the art.
Yep, exactly.
And now Kenny Pacheco says, oh, this school's ridiculous. It looks like an airport. All the people are saying, that's not a school, that's an airport. Well, Kenny, you were around when they built that school.
But he wasn't in the school department.
You were in the school department, but you're in the city. And guess what? Everybody said that was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Here's the kicker. They're saying it's going to take them like 3 years or 4 years to build this school.
Yeah, and it takes them less than a year to build a casino the size of the city of Fall River.
The Atlantis Charter School just built a brand new school that holds 1,400 students in a year.
Well,
a year ago, they got the land, and they're opening in February.
Look.
A year.
Look, all the campaign contributors can't make the money. They got to line up all the ducks in order. Who's going to get one contract? Let the price go up because it takes 3 years. And what happens when something that should take a year takes 3 years? There's always cost overruns because of the cost of things.
And they did say that. They said that.
What a surprise! Wow, what a surprise!
They said that they have to work into the equation the amount for cost of living increases that go down the line. And
well, let's hope there's close scrutiny. We had one guy go to jail and about 5 people retire at a last school. Let's see what happens with this one.
But the really interesting part about this is that the Atlantis Charter School is getting ready to open after the February vacation. A year after they got the land and boom, they're done. Why is it going to take us 4 years? What's wrong with Fall River that it takes Fall River 4 years? But Atlantis Charter School, which is a private public school, because they are a public school, they're funded with public dollars, how come they can do it in a year? And their school's going to hold 1,400 students. How many students is this new school supposed to hold?
Yeah, but look, the key is why do they do it? Because it's a private enterprise, and to them, time is money.
Exactly.
They get things done as quickly. It's like a casino. They're going to throw up a casino in Tiverton. It's a small one, but I've seen casinos in Vegas go up, immense casinos, and
the size of 6 or 7 city blocks
in under a year. I mean, if you go to the Venetian, it's the second largest casino in the world. I mean, the things like. It's like the entire North End.
Right.
And it's incredible. I mean, they've got shopping malls inside, and it's only a small portion.
It's a little city.
And guess what? They last longer than Durfee High School. And they put them up in a year, and they put them up at a lower cost. I bet you it cost them, with all the opulence of those casinos, I'll bet you we're going to be paying about as much for our building as they do for a Las Vegas casino, with all the opulence in there. I mean, it's just, look, this is another exercise in what government does best: spend money.
Well, here's a funny quote. Okay, for the Atlantis Charter School is about ready to open, as I said.
Yeah.
The lights are on at the future home of the Atlantis Charter School. The hot water was just turned on today. No leaks. That's a good sign, Michael Oro, the Associate Executive Director of the Atlantis Charter School. Unlike Durfee, which has big leaks. 98,000 square foot building designed to accommodate 1,400 students from kindergarten to 12th grade. Tentatively scheduled to open for classes when students return from winter vacation on February 26th. That's 1 year. It's a little more than a year from when they started this process.
And isn't it amazing how you look at the transition of this place, and that's one of the things about these charter schools. I mean, I believe in the public education system, but the problem with the system is not the teachers. It's not the fact that they're trying to educate our children. It's the fact that the word public is in front of it.
Right.
Because when it's public, it means political. And everything costs more money, and everything has to be done at the maximum cost. The school has to, they make mandates. You look at the Atlantis Charter School, where did they start out? The old convent.
Right.
Up on Mount Hope, at the top of South Main Street.
Right.
And they started because I went there many times for box alarms and things like that. And it was a, you know, it was a kind of a maze, the old convent. They made do. They started small, they expanded. Now they're in a new building, and they're providing, from what I've been told, fairly quality education.
Right, they are.
People are fighting to get in there. But see, this is an example of what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be, it's like business. And to get back to that opening letter, he's right. There are people getting tips, and they shouldn't get tips. You know, it's about being able to survive in the environment. That's capitalism. You open up a business, they run their schools more like a business, and because it's private rather than public. And when it's private, it depoliticizes it to a great degree. Not that there's no politics, because there's politics in everything.
Oh, of course.
Nobody's that naive. But the fact is that you know, once you put public in it, we get Milton Friedman rises again to say, if you gave the government the Sahara Desert, they'd run out of sand in 5 years.
Well, the Sahara Desert's covered in snow right now.
That's right. And remember, anything in politics, there's nothing carved in stone. It's not, you know, Terry Sullivan, remember what Terry Sullivan said? No private stations. Guess what? This has got a good chance of going because it's for the right people are pulling.
And they passed it yesterday. So I'm telling you, it's ridiculous.
That's right.
Hey, remember those special election? Well,
and by the way,
yeah.
I got to say one thing again. Thank you for screwing the taxpayers again, new city council.
New city council.
So nothing,
and I said that.
Nothing changes except the names.
And you know what? Same council, same story. New names, same story. But you know, here's the funny thing about it. I said that yesterday in my citizens input. Okay?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Thanks for screwing the taxpayer. Again, you don't care about our checkbook. And they don't. They don't. They honestly don't. All 9 of them, oblivious. So again, you, the voters of Fall River, voted a batch of nitwits into office. Do yourself a favor the next election. Don't vote any incumbents in. Any moron can do a better job than these 9. Any moron can do a better job than the school committee, and any moron can do a better job than the mayor's office.
I want to hear just one city councilor at one time just say, I can't vote for this. This is not in the best interest of the taxpayer.
They never say
Why should we accept another building with all the bills and problems we have? But no, never. You know, and the vote was tragic to watch that meeting last night.
You know, what's really funny is that you didn't have to stick pins in your eyes yesterday. Well, you know, lastly, the state finally decided that those early elections, they were going to pay for. And they're giving Fall River $21,380. Doesn't even cover what we spent. But we're going to give you $21,380 because the state auditor, Suzanne Bump, said it's an unfunded mandate and you can't do that. So here we go again.
Yeah, as usual, right? But I got to give one quick shout out. Tracy Wright, you know, she got that award.
Yep.
She had to retire. She had some issues, and she just had a surgery. She called me to tell me she did well through the surgery, and I want to wish her the best. And she was a great asset to this city when she was an employee. And get well soon, Tracy.
And of course, the city bent her over.
I hope you found the live feed on YouTube. So.
And of course, the city bent her over. So.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay her bill. She had to appeal and fight and fight and fight. Like I said, just like the teacher in Alabama, you get handcuffed and thrown out of the building if you dare. But while they're doing that to you and you haven't had a pay raise in 10 years, the superintendent of schools gets a $38,000 pay raise. That's pretty decent even by Fall River standards.
Yeah, it is.
So stay angry, everybody, and we will see you.
And remember, the city council now wants a COLA. Talk about screwing the taxpayer again. They want a COLA.
Can I sell my sewerage? Can I put a little mini pump in my front yard and let the city buy it so I don't have to pay my water fee anymore?
Exactly, exactly. Hey, we'll see you on Friday. Have a great day.